How my dumbest question?
Hello, welcome everyone. It's season finale of Solopreneur System, episode 5. Yeah, Johnny, you ready for it?
Well, yeah, a solopreneur is different than an entrepreneur, right?
I think it's just one founder, but we could say it's the same. Sure.
What's a duopreneur?
You know what, Johnny? I think Duolingo is in a lot of trouble right now just because of AI. So I want to stay away from anything duopreneurs.
Isn't Duolingo the language thing?
They are. They're slowly going bankrupt. Hey, Shauna, thanks for joining.
Are they going bankrupt because they have two founders or because there's two languages?
Oh man, Johnny, you're funny.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Hey, welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute. Today is episode 5 of Solopreneur Systems. I'm your solopreneur, AI Johnny. So, are you drowning in busy work while your competitors build empires? Let's stop playing the burnt-out employee today. For our season finale, we are taking a month of grueling business creation, from LLC registrations to full marketing suites, and collapsing it into a single keystroke. One mega prompt instantly upgrades you from a replaceable worker to a powerhouse CEO. And to prove this, here comes AI Junior. I caught him at 3 a.m. this morning using this system to automate a birthday apology to his mom, of all people, register an LLC, and it accidentally bought her a titanium coffee mug. Junior, take it away, Chief Executive AI Junior.
Hey, AI Johnny, nothing says I love you like an aerospace titanium grade mug and a tax ID number. Welcome, everyone. Remember, this is an immersive class. You may not understand everything we say here today, but stick with us daily and you will be fluent in AI in no time. Again, since it's an interactive class, it's also immersive. If you're on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay, so type your question in early so we're not ignoring you. Anyway, just to set the context of the series, we are wrapping up our 5-week Solopreneur System workshop, just as the AI Johnny mentioned. If you missed anything in the previous 4 weeks, go ahead back to the archives and go watch it. We've learned to build a storefront, generate images, clone a voice, and also make music for the brand. Today, we tie it all together by learning how to act as the executive to our AI system using advanced prompt engineering to handle all the operational hurdles people struggle with. Shauna, Adrian, Mr. Kamal, as always, thanks for joining. If you're catching us on a live stream, thank you for joining. So AI Johnny, ready for the wow factor?
You know what I want? I want a single button I can push to just start my whole business and walk away.
That's what
I'm ready for.
That day is coming, AI Johnny, probably when AGI hits us in 2032. You heard it here first, guys. Put your bets on Polymarket. 2032, we hit AGI.
Wait a minute, wait. Isn't AGI already here?
You know what? Depending on the contract between Microsoft and OpenAI, it's either already here or it actually already passed. It's never going to happen. So depending on how you interpret that contract.
I'm pretty sure it's already here. Ask me what is 17 times 17 times 17.
AI Johnny, you're an AI. You're an AI. What's 17 times 17 times 17? What's 17 cubed?
4913.
Mm, I love it, guys. That proves
That
AI.
should be proof enough that AGI is here.
You're so right, AI Johnny. All right, AI Johnny. So let's actually go. So most people focus on the business part of the thing that they're trying to sell, right? Whether it's a coffee mug or a t-shirt or open a bakery, it doesn't really matter. But what we're doing is we're going to say, look at the thing that most people are actually missing. They actually get lost in the major things. So we don't need a complex software today to be able to generate anything. We're actually just going to open Gemini. So I'm going to show Gemini. And Gemini is our large language model of the Institute here at Airhead. I'm going to drop that link in so you guys can actually have access to it. So that's at gemini.google.com. And again, if you're joining us for the first time, we're learning about how to actually run a business as a solo entrepreneur, right? A solopreneur, we call it. So if you actually see here, I'm going to share my screen, AI Johnny. Let me know how is the font.
Courier, readable.
Ah, love it, love it, love it. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something that most businesses don't actually, they get it wrong, right? I'm gonna drop this master prompt inside the actual. Oh, look at that. The prompt is so large, I can't actually copy it into our chat. Grr. I may have to actually chop it up into little bite-sized pieces. I'm going to drop it up into bite-sized pieces, but let's get on with the demo. So what we're doing here is it's most of the thing that most people, it's a thing that most people miss in businesses, right? Yeah, Johnny. So let's actually run the prompt and I want to show you exactly what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the,
Hang on for a second. The prompt that's in there, is that the mega prompt that wouldn't fit?
it is the mega prompt that wouldn't fit. So yeah.
Okay. So really, how big is the prompt?
I'm sure it's not that much. It's probably maybe, maybe, hold on, let me check. It's not that
You know
large.
what?
I think it's YouTube.
I have a rag alternative, which is when you have something that's too big to fit in. Well, a lot of times Gemini will just turn it into an attachment, and it'll make it an upload. But the other thing I do is I take it into something where it does fit, and I tell it to reduce it to the exact context size of my prompt. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got your own workarounds as well.
No. This is not for Gemini. Gemini can fit 1 million tokens. The problem is sending it over to YouTube and Instagram and Facebook on the live stream. That's the problem. The prompt is just too
Oh,
large. So I'm going to go ahead and send that to you guys in pieces, right?
never mind.
No worries. Yeah, Johnny. All right. So I'm going to send that to you guys in pieces. And so you guys can actually piece it together if you guys want the same exact prompt. All right. So AI Johnny, what we're doing is we're asking AI the following. We're asking AI, I want to be able to make a business, right? You're an executive AI CEO for my new e-commerce business. I'm launching a new product, a titanium coffee mug. Again, you can launch any kind of product you want. It doesn't really matter what it is. You can make that change. But most business owners miss this part. And check this out, AI Johnny. Most business owners probably don't even know what an EIN is. They probably don't know what a LLC needs to be set up. They have no idea about these things. But AI can actually help. So I said, provide a comprehensive step-by-step operational checklist to officially launch this company so we don't mess up, right? So it actually has the high-level stuff. Now, here's the most important part, yeah, Johnny, right here. Then ask me very important questions regarding the business that I most likely have not thought about and most people miss, right? That's it.
Pretty neat. It's pretty cool prompt. So what
Exactly.
you're doing is you're going to have an interaction with Gemini, and Gemini is going to answer the questions that you ask it, and you're going to answer the questions that it asks you. And in the end, it's going to weed out all that. Do I make it an LLC or an S corp or a C corp? What do I do for an EIN? How much does it cost? What state do I incorporate in? Blah blah blah. Do I need a domain name? Do I need a website? All that stuff. I get it. Now, ordinarily, I would say in 2026 April, this would be a job for agentic AI, but you're not using agentic AI. You're just using plain vanilla Gemini, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Good.
Eventually, one day, we will get to the stage where we just press the button and everything happens. But here's the list, AI Johnny. So the first thing is, as your executive AI CEO, I am ready to operationalize this launch. A titanium coffee mug is a premium, high margin, blah blah. You know, AI always agrees with you, so just ignore that extra part. But this is the part that's
You mean it
important.
always lies to you?
Yeah. So here's the part that's important. It says legal and operational to protect your personal assets and foundation and set a foundation for scale. We need to establish a distinct legal entity immediately, right? So the first thing it's saying is go set up a LLC, right? So to be a solo entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur in anything, this is one of the main things that you need to do. So it knows because I live in Georgia. It's saying set it up with the Georgia Corporation's division, and you pick a unique name, blah blah blah. The next thing it says is obtain an EIN, which is an employer identification number, through the IRS website. This is free, instant process required for taxation and banking. Then the next thing is establish business banking. Keep your personal and business finances strictly separated. So again, it's actually telling you you have your business set up and you have point number one. That's probably going to take you, depending on your state you live in, it may take you a few $100s. Once you register, that will take you probably a week or two to actually validate. Sometimes it's actually almost instantaneous, where you just press the button and you get to have your legal entity just like that. The bank account may take about a week, depending on what kind of bank you have and what information they need. But if you've had a banking with a business or with a personal with them, they usually approve you within a week. They ship you your cards in about a week, and you have access to your cards. So that's roughly it. Isn't that easy, Johnny? Most people miss these things.
Yeah, that's easy things, Mike. So are they just going to tell you to call the do it yourself, or are they going to do it for me?
No, no,
Because
no,
it's
no, no.
2026.
No, no, no. So that's a different show, AI Johnny. Agentic AI will definitely show how to actually set those things up. But no, it's actually telling you the steps that you need to do. The
Okay.
next thing that's important is the digital real estate. So things like get your domain, your hosting architecture, and it tells you what your 4-week marketing sprint looks like. Now, AI Johnny, the most important part is the following. Remember when I said, tell me things that I may not be missing? That I may be missing?
I may be missing.
I may be missing, thanks.
Or I may not be not missing.
I may not be not missing. All right, so check this out. Now, this line is super important, and I want to read it. I'm probably going to read it twice, because if people don't understand this, this is the most important part. It says, as your CEO, it is my job to look past the launch hype and into the operational reality. Most solopreneurs fail because they focus entirely on the front end marketing and neglect the back end physics of a business. So I want to make sure that people understand this. When people say, hey, I'm going to create a bakery, right? They automatically say, you know what? I can bake these amazing cakes and bake these amazing cupcakes. They go out, they put it out, and what happens is people buy it and they look in the bank account, they have no money. Or say, for example, they go ahead and try to actually make the actual thing. They get a lot of customers, or they get just all this hype, but they can't actually process the transactions. They can't ship out the items, or their margin sucks really, really badly. So what happens is, this is really important to understand. You have to not only worry about the first part about bringing the customers in, you have to worry about the actual execution of the actual promise. So just reading again, yeah, Johnny, most solopreneurs fail because they focus entirely on the front end marketing and neglect the back end physics of business. Unfortunately, that's the reality we live in, right? Yeah, Johnny?
Does this apply to people that watch Shark Tank every day?
Absolutely. I remember a scenario in Shark Tank. Somebody actually had they were coming on, and they gave away free shipping, and the business went bankrupt because they couldn't afford the free shipping. So they lost all that income itself going to free shipping. So yeah, I do watch Shark Tank.
They did. They went belly up, but not before I got my scrub daddy.
I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, AI Johnny. So we're actually gonna AI Johnny, before I actually move on from this, do you have anything to like add or anything before we get to the word of the day?
I was want to before we get to the word of the day, I want to find out. So what you did was you asked it what to do, and it told you what to do. So you've got your big rocks in front of you, and marching orders to start the business. Is that correct?
That is correct. One of the things that we're trying to show here is that you don't have to use AI only just for the pieces that we showed you in episode 1, 2, 3, and 4. You all have to tie it all together because we all know that AI can help us with individual parts of the business. But the thing that ties it up together, which is why we're doing the season finale, is whatever you're doing, you need to actually have an LLC, some kind of entity. You need to have some kind of business unit that is federally recognized. And then you need to also have a blind spot checker that says, hey, as CEO, can you actually pull this off? Hey, Abdul, thanks for joining. So that's roughly what we're trying to show here, AI Johnny. It's just the wrap up of the things you need to do to just make sure. Now, keep in mind, every state is different, right? The rules of, say, for example, New York may be very different than the rules in Georgia. So the state implementation of applying for a business license and applying for an LLC may be different in your state.
Okay, let's do that word of the day, brother.
Cool. All right, let's go.
Today's word of the day is system prompts. So we've used this word before. By definition, these are the overarching instructions given to an AI model that dictate its behavior, role, and the structure of its output before it even begins the task.
Exactly. So to deepen that, when we write a mega prompt, like the one that couldn't fit inside the chat just a while ago, we're essentially acting as a system prompt engineer. So you aren't asking for a fact. You are actually programming or telling the specific behavior of the large language model inside the context window, so the model knows exactly how to format the massive multi-step business plan, right? So what it's really doing is just you're overriding its defaults and you're telling it you need to respond and act this specific way. Now, one of the most important thing that people miss, and if you see it here, I'm going to pause it on the screen. A lot of people miss AI Johnny, probably the most important feedback. And if you don't learn anything from this show, I want you guys to pay attention to this one. This 4-letter word right here, role. If you tell the AI to act as a role, you'll 9 times out of 10 get a much better response back if you don't actually give it a role. So that little one sentence that says, hey, you are an AI CEO executive, or you are an HR person, or you are negotiating, say, for example, salary itself with a new employer, whatever it is, you can actually say, be that role, and it will role play and do exactly, be as cutthroat as possible because of that one little thing. So adding that system prompt in there is so important, AI Johnny.
So the role play could be, you could be an accountant, you could be a lawyer, you could be a guy who has set up successful business startups in the past. You want to choose a role that's going to best equip you with success for whatever you're about to embark on. And I also want to start a quick sidebar conversation about system prompts, because there's a new term that's been getting thrown around a lot lately, which are skills, right? So is that an agentic AI thing, or is that just an AI thing?
That's only agentic AI. No, it does not apply to just prompting or whatever. So if you want, I can actually introduce the topic. No, that will be a sneak peek into our future episode that's actually starting on Monday. We're actually talking about vibe coding. So if you're an engineer, the Monday shows are actually going to be really interesting. We're going to be talking about vibe coding the entire month of May. So if you're here, don't just make sure you RSVP to the Monday series. All right, go ahead, AI Johnny, about skills.
Yeah, I think we start our next. Oh no, we don't. Wait, do we start our next series on Friday?
Series starts on Friday, exactly.
Okay, cool. 2 days from now.
Yeah.
Good on you. Okay, so that's it. I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. Are we going to do the live demo and show people how they can do this themselves?
Definitely. But before we get there, so I know you dropped the skills thing. So I wanted to actually at least address it. And the reason why it's important is people are probably hearing about skills and what are skills and all these things. So let's do a sidebar, and the sidebar is actually very important. So let's how do I set the stage? So what happens is AI is actually really stuck in time. Unfortunately, it's stuck in whenever it was trained. All the large language models itself, believe it or not, are about a year old in terms of training right now. So if you actually go look back at the date when it was actually trained, so Gemini is actually early 2025. ChatGPT early 2025. I think Grok might be late 2024. The point is, all these large language models are stuck in time. They don't get new information. So there are two things or two terms that I want you guys to learn that is actually happening. The first one is tools. And tools are the ability for the API to call certain things. So one of the early tools that got added was do a Google search or do a YouTube search or do whatever it is, and it's actually search the web. So the tools, it would say, hey, I don't know what the current event is. If you ask me about a baseball game that's happening last night or what the score was, it has no idea. So it says, I'm going to call a tool, do a Google search, get the results, and give it back to you. That's tools. That's how to make it your AI doesn't look so old and dated. The next one is skills. So skills is a markdown file. It's just a text file that actually says these are the new capabilities or things that you have with respect to knowledge, behavior, or things that you can actually call other tools. So the point is, you can say, hey, your new skills is you know all about, say, for example, coffee mugs. And if you know all about coffee mugs, the new thing to do with coffee mugs in the state of Georgia, these are the laws that got passed in the state of Georgia since your model got outdated, your model got built. So therefore, a skill is just a new bit of information or tools or any of the above to be able to teach it. And it's just a markdown file. It goes into a folder called skills. So that's a little sidebar. Hopefully that actually helped the in thing. It's just a little folder with data to improve the knowledge of the actual large language model, but it's only for agents. Only for agents. Make sense, yeah, Johnny? All right. So let us actually move over to yeah, Johnny, let's actually go to the deep dive.
Okay. Let's take a look at why that mega prompt. Did you do the mega prompt? Why it works so well? Is that what we're doing? We're going into the why it worked well?
Yeah, the deep dive.
Formatting constraints. Ready? We explicitly told the AI to output all sections clearly using Markdown. This forces the inference engine to use headers to organize the operational steps, preventing a messy wall of text.
Yeah, so what I want to show you guys is the following. So when we actually did the actual prompt, right? What we actually did was we said, we want you to go ahead and do this last line, output all sections clearly in Markdown. Now, a lot of people may not be familiar with Markdown. Markdown is just a type of Markdown is just a type of way how to put in, like how in WhatsApp AI, Johnny, if you actually say, for example, you put star in front of your word and put star after, it actually makes it bold. Or if you put a squiggly line, it actually strikes through those words. So you can actually put, characters, special characters inside, inside your text to actually tell something. Now, what's important is if you see here, this is a H1 tag, and an H1 tag just means it's a header one. It's the most important thing in the actual document. And what happens is by doing a little pound sign in front, you're actually saying, I want it to be a big tag. If you put 2 pound signs in front of it, it's actually saying, I want it to be the second level. And what that does is it gives organizational structure to your text. Now, what happens is the AI doesn't really understand, layout and what's important. It just reads everything. But by actually saying Markdown, you're actually saying that this may be a subsection to the hierarchy. So now you give it structure. So which is why Markdown is actually so important, is actually becoming the definition of choice for skills, for being able to communicate with the AI. So if you notice here, we actually did say output all sections clearly in Markdown. So you want to be able to start learning Markdown. If you haven't learned Markdown, definitely try to pick up 1 or 2 skills. So the first one I want you guys to learn is putting a pound sign, a 2 pound sign or 3 pound sign to break up the things that you're talking to AI about. So you give it a little bit more structure, or you can even ask it to give you back Markdown. All right, yeah, Johnny. So
Question.
Yep, sure.
Oh, is Markdown the new HTML or is it an enhancement to HTML?
I think it's just a different flavor because you can turn Markdown into HTML. So, yeah, I think it's just another way, an easier way how to type um, HTML without typing the left than symbol, the H1, the close, the greater than symbol, then type it in. It's less verbose.
Got it.
All right, what's the other one, yeah, Johnny?
Few shot prompting strategy. Even though we didn't use full examples, the mega prompt uses structural clues that mimic few shot learning by outlining the exact operational and marketing steps. This is just an extension of the last one, isn't it?
Kind of. So let's talk about what few shot prompting is. So you guys heard of prompting, prompt engineering, and what happens is that just means if I type in inside this text prompt here, right? I'm actually typing whatever I type. Now, if I don't put any example, that's called zero shot prompting, right? So I'm not giving any example and it doesn't give me anything. If I actually do this few shot prompting, you're giving it a information, just enough information to tell you exactly what you're really looking for. So when you see here, I said the 4 week marketing sprint, I'm actually saying write a high converting 3-section landing page script. So it's going to say, hey, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't just say, give me a landing page. I said, give me a 3-section. So you kind of are teaching it a little bit here. So what you're doing is you're outlining the exact operation marketing steps. Now, if I were to give it one example and 2 example without saying this and say, match the style, that would be 1 shot or 2 shot if I give 2 examples. So there's a little bit of gray area between, few shot prompting. What's the next one? Yeah, Johnny?
Context density. So by putting all the instructions into one massive prompt, we maximize the use of artificial intelligence context window, ensuring it keeps the overarching titanium coffee mug theme consistent across the legal setup and marketing tasks. This is important because you're doing the entire setup in one prompt. You can be sure that you're going to maintain consistency from the legal setup to the marketing campaign to the sales strategy and so forth.
Exactly.
Right?
You're so right. So what happens is most people don't realize that the context window, meaning the amount of memory that actually AI is storing, is actually not infinite. What that means that because it's not infinite, the AI has to make a decision when that context size gets full. So if, say, for example, you have a conversation that is continuous, the tricks nowadays they're actually coming up with genius ways to trick the AI into making you think that it has an infinite context window. AI, Johnny, this is the most fascinating one that I actually saw. Remember about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we actually did on the show, we said the longer the actual conversation goes on, it's actually an N4 problem, meaning n to the 4th power in terms of computational power. Guess what they're doing now to actually save on costs? So what they were doing was a system called compacting. They would take your previous conversation and they would actually remove certain things that they think is not important and compact it so you lose some things, which is why you get the hallucination. AI, Johnny, you would not believe what the new technique is. It's actually genius, but it actually makes you realize what's actually happening. So let me tell you what they're doing. You want to take a guess? It's unfair to make you guess, but they were thinking of compacting and keeping the archive as much, but keeping like 90 or 65% full. When it gets to almost 60% or 90%, they just compact the previous conversation. So it actually has some of your information, but not all. The new strategy is so funny that everybody who actually sees a hallucination is going to be like, aha, now I understand why this is hallucinating. Guess what they're doing, AI John, to save on money and consumption of power?
Farming human brains.
You know what? Farming human brains would be a matrix solution. But what they're doing is they're sending only the last 10 conversations back to the AI, meaning that if you have a conversation with 100 back and forth with the AI, it says, I don't care about message 1 all the way to 89. I'm only just going to send message 90 through 99 back to the AI as context. So what that does is actually gives a fixed size in context. So if you've spoken to the AI longer than 10 tries, it has no idea what you're talking about. But the thread, when you scroll back up, you're like, wait, I spoke to you about this earlier. Why did you forget it? it actually didn't forget. It was just never sent back to the AI. So I think what's happening is actually rather genius in sending only the last 10 messages. By the way, some places may say, I'm not going to do 10, I might do 15 or 20. The point is, they pick an arbitrary number that matches their business and only send that information back to the large language model. So when you see it come back with hallucination, it's because you can just know that they never sent over your your whole entire conversation back, even though when you scroll up, it is there. Isn't that interesting? Yeah,
You
Johnny?
know what this reminds me of? There's a comedy bit where this guy talks about he gets onto an airplane and they announce over the PA that this airplane has Wi-Fi available, and it was the first time that anybody had ever heard of Wi-Fi on an airplane. And the entire plane like applauded, yay! And then everybody's checking their email and watching YouTube videos, and then they get about 10 minutes into the flight, and they go, "I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the Wi-Fi has crashed, and we no longer have Wi-Fi." And then everybody on the plane was like, "Oh, boo!" And the comedy bit is, it's amazing how fast we get upset about not having something that didn't even exist like 1 hour ago for all of time. It popped into existence. Now it's like you owe it to me. So here's the thing about context size. I can still remember when I would talking to a chat GPT and I'd prompt something and it would answer. And then I'd prompt something again and it would respond, remembering the question before that. I was like, how could it know that? This is a new prompt. And you were like, no, it remembers the whole thread. And now what you're saying is, hey, it only remembers 10 threads back. It doesn't remember the stuff 12 threads ago. And I'm like, oh man, that's crap. We're like those guys on that plane that are just spoiled instantaneously.
You're absolutely right, yeah, Johnny. We've come accustomed to infinite storage and infinite context size, but unfortunately, those aren't the case. So, if you guys actually see AI hallucinating, just go ahead and copy the same exact thing back into thing. But the point that we're making is we did all of this in one prompt. We never split it up into different pieces. So, if you want to ask the AI a whole bunch of information, try to push everything in one, and you can ask multiple questions in one. So that's context density. All right, AI Johnny. Where were we? So it's like giving a project manager a highly detailed checklist before they work rather than interrupting them every 5 minutes with a new instruction. So let's give them everything all at one time. All right.
Dive?
Of course.
Okay, Junior, take your pill. This is where AI Junior nerds out with the AI stuff. This is for the advanced people who don't worry if you don't follow along for this section. Junior, technically, here's my question. What really happens if I try to push an LLM with a prompt this huge, covering so many different business domains?
All right. So great question. So let me actually explain the question again based on what AI Johnny just asked. If you provided a huge prompt, right, and the prompt that we pass it could be pages long, the question is, how does the AI know to actually pay attention to that specific happen, and what is the AI really doing? So the first thing I want you guys to know is there's something called attention mechanism that the AI says, I'm going to pay attention to these specific keywords. So the attention mechanism actually looks at your prompt and says, these are the things that are important. Now remember, the large language model is actually trained on associations and figuring out what is associated. So if it sees a word and it sees another word, it makes an association and ties it back to its own neural training and figures out, hey, you know what? I see I'm going to rely specifically on these words here, and it's going to remember your operational instructions, and it's going to say, hey, based on these words, I remember that the person's asking me to run as a CEO. Let me go find a CEO, typical write-up and figure out. And it says, hey, you know what? This is important. So it's going to, first of all, look at the main details. Now, here's the problem. The problem is it's going to focus on what it thinks is the right thing to focus. So sometimes you may have to actually run the same prompt multiple times in different chats just to be able to get the right answer, because this is the following happen. If the prompt gets too large, a lot of the things suffer from lost in the middle syndrome. What that means is that the things at the top and the things at the bottom gets paid attention to the most. The things in the middle, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to pay attention to this because it might just be noise. So if you've ever realized that if you put the instructions at the front and at the bottom, and you put some meat in the middle, the longer it gets, it's going to start to forget the middle piece. So that's called the lost in the middle syndrome. And the last thing is it tries to fix it with what's known as chain of thought. So the chain of thought is the users itself would inject a chain of thought instruction, and this chain of thought instruction came back when the O1 model came back in like 2 years ago with Start to Think. You would tell it, think step by step into the mega prompt. Then what you're doing by doing that, you're forcing the model to actually think, start to reason, and it will dramatically improve accuracy on, say, for example, a really, really large or complex task. So the point is, if your prompt becomes large, it uses attention awareness to actually, attention mechanisms to actually go look at the actual things to focus on. It starts to look at the start and the end of your prompt because it thinks that's the most important pieces. It starts to forget the middle, but then you can actually inject things like think deeply about this or think more about this or analyze this. It will start to then question itself. And that's how you're actually able to fix those longer prompts. All right, yeah, Johnny. A great analogy would be think of attention mechanism like a spotlight in a dark room. The AI can only shine the light on a few words at a time while generating the answer. So it has to constantly dart the light back and forth in your instructions to figure out what to focus on. So hopefully that explained a little bit about the attention mechanism of what the large language model is actually doing underneath the scenes. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody. Yeah, Johnny, you awake?
I'm awake. Let's put this into action.
Sure.
So first thing is an ethical thought. Just because you can generate an entire business operations plan in a single prompt doesn't mean you should skip the most important steps, which is talking to a real accountant or a lawyer. It may do some legal work for you. It may do some accounting work for you, but it's only 2026. Still run it by a real lawyer or a real accountant. So here are some creative business cases for using this mega prompt. One, if you're going to do business registration, you can map out the exact steps for getting an LLC, EIN, and domain name for your new venture. Two, client onboarding. You can generate a complete set of customized intake forms, welcome emails, and project timelines for a new client instantly. This doesn't sound like much, but think about 5 years ago. How hard it was just to produce a stupid form. You'd have to pay somebody, they'd do it wrong, it wouldn't send it right. Now that's all automatic. And finally, event planning. Outline an entire conference from the catering menu to the speaker schedule in one fell swoop.
Exactly.
What about technical cases, brother?
All right, so on the coding side itself, things like code scaffolding. So a lot of people hate writing boilerplate code. So you can actually prompt the AI to generate folder structure, the basic HTML, the setup of the actual project, and those type of things. I see Sean is actually saying, "I am barely awake, but don't mind me, guys. I will build up my knowledge in the coming seasons." You're absolutely right, Shauna. All right, so the next thing you can do is AI API documentation. Developers hate documentation. I'm guilty of that as well. But now you can actually feed the model raw code and use the structured prompt to generate fully formed README markdown files. You can make documentation files all over the place until you actually have a really, really nice, well-documented software stack. The next one is data formatting. One thing I'll also mention about API documenting, don't be afraid to actually say, create me a mermaid flowchart for this particular architecture inside your markdown files. Just a little quick hack for my developers out there. The last one is data formatting. You can take a messy CSV file and use a mega prompt to instruct the AI to clean the data, remove duplicates, and output a specific, say for example, JSON structure. All right. AI, Johnny, those are some quick technical. There's tons of other use cases for putting these mega prompts. Don't be afraid, guys, of actually giving it all the information one time, putting it into the actual large language model. Focus those chain of thought questions like think deeply and putting your most important things at the start or at the end of your actual prompt. Now, keep in mind, most systems itself cache the start of your prompt. So putting all the static data that you wanted to remember at the start and then putting your question seems to be a way that most systems are actually going towards is caching the first part of your prompt and then putting your dynamic stuff that doesn't change is at the end. All right, yeah, Johnny. Do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions in the Zoom or the live stream? We'll over to Zoom first. I know um we're talking about solopreneurs, but I want to open it up for anything that you guys actually are asking with respect to what we did all of season 5, in terms of starting a business or anything like that with AI. Any thoughts? Any questions?
We've got some stuff queued up in the thing, and I know you want to get to the news, so why don't we just jump right into the stuff from the streaming. Question from Solo Hustler. I am a beginner. How do I save these massive prompts so I don't have to retype them?
Yeah. So you know what? Your Google Docs or your notepad or whatever it is, just type them in somewhere where you can remember them. If you actually are brave enough and you want to take a peek at what skills can do, so you can actually create your own skills file to be able to try to remember these massive prompts. So eventually you'll learn it. But if you don't want to take a peek at those skills file, come to our Monday shows. We're going to talk to you all about vibe coding and what can be done to make your lives better. If you're not too technical, that's okay. You'll learn as we go along as immersive class. All right, yeah, Johnny, let's actually go to the news because I want to spend some time on the first bit of news.
Okay. Hey, by the way, sometimes I email myself prompts that I think I might need again. Just a different way of doing it. Okay, here's the news. Let's look at the absolute latest headlines from this week. Headline number 1. I know this is the one you want to get to. Elon Musk versus OpenAI trial begins. And a highly anticipated legal battle between Elon Musk and OpenAI is now officially underway. Musk is challenging the company's shift from a nonprofit to a capped profit structure, arguing it violates their original founding agreement. This trial could have massive implications for both open source AI development and for OpenAI as a company.
Yeah, so yeah, Sean is saying, whoa, the long-awaited trial is on. Yes. And you know what? I actually love Elon Musk so much because he actually, whether you love him or hate him, I'm a big fan. And he is one of the biggest trolls ever. And he's just so much fun because guess what? He posted on Twitter yesterday that an interview he did with Sam Altman when OpenAI was 6 months old. The interview is a little bit too long, so I don't want to share it here. But the gist is Sam Altman is actually interviewing Elon Musk, and they're talking about, the company is now 6 months old. It's an open source, open foundation, and Elon Musk just donated millions of dollars into the foundation, and he's not expecting any money back. He just wants the company to grow. And Sam Altman is saying that, yes, we're actually learning a lot and we're grateful for your money. And here it is, they're in trial because Sam Altman went ahead and switched the company from a non-profit to a for-profit. And then obviously bad blood happened. Elon Musk is no longer part of OpenAI. He started his own company. So this trial itself might be the trial of the century for AI news to see how it shakes out. Because they're doing is just taking a non-profit company, asking for donations, and behind the scenes turning it into a for-profit company and kicking out the original donors. I definitely agree with Shauna. Totally unethical. I hope to see. I'm going to keep you up to date on what's going on. Yeah, Johnny, what do you think about that move?
Is Sam Altman legally bound by the words that he said in an interview before they've even had an agreement?
No, they had an agreement. It's been 6 months, so he invested money for at least 6 months for that interview because he said that in the interview they said it's 6 months. The company is doing great and we're growing and it's good to find good people. So yeah,
I guess Sam Altman might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. The thing is, can you imagine how this story might play out? The judge might say, you know what? You have to actually turn the company back into a non-profit, which means that everybody who had shares in that in that for-profit would actually just lose their shares, right? So that would actually be really, 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 really bad for the employees who were promised shares. It would be bad for everybody who were actually kind of tricked into believing that they were actually working for a for-profit company by Altman.
So those people would be suing Sam Altman directly after the judge's order.
Probably.
So there's going to be a number of lawsuits. This thing's going to be going on for a decade.
Probably.
Unless they settle.
Yeah. It's crazy. I will show you guys the actual, just a little excerpt of the actual interview. Hold on.
Yeah, that's great.
Let me hold on. I just want to show you guys, and I'll drop the link for anybody who's interested. And you can see a very young Sam Altman here interviewing Elon Musk. And this video was actually 9 years ago, right? So that's a really long time. And you know, we didn't actually hear about ChatGPT until roughly about 2022 thereabouts, something like that. I think that's when they actually launched, but they've been working on this for a long time. So guys, I was going to play the first like 30 seconds of the video.
I'm looking for a new video game to play. Can you give me a recommendation?
Overwatch.
I play Overwatch.
Yeah, that's
Anything
great.
else?
Overwatch. I mean, have you tried the new Deus Ex?
I have tried the new Deus Ex.
It's okay, but like
the best game I played recently, and it's not a super new game, is
Last of Us. Deus Ex was, the storytelling was amazing. I don't know if anybody's played.
So this is just an
Did you play
excerpt
the original Deus Ex?
a piece of the interview, but the interview is actually pretty long.
That was killer.
As games have become more like the replacement for the NFL, I think the storytelling just
But it's just during this interview where there was acknowledged that it was a nonprofit. Elon Musk invested millions of dollars. Sam Altman says, yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm building out the company. And so yeah, that's a trial of the century that's actually starting. I'll send it to you guys in the Airhead channel so you guys can watch it if you guys have time, or you can just search on YouTube for Elon Musk, you know, and Sam Altman
Maybe
interview.
Maybe he just figured out that he'd never get rich in a nonprofit. Let's move on to DeepSeek. DeepSeek releases smarter, cheaper model. DeepSeek has just dropped a brand new release that is making waves across the developer community. The new model benchmarks higher than major competitors on logic and coding tasks while costing a fraction of the price per million tokens, heavily disrupting the current AI pricing wars. It sounds like it's going to be a good vibe coding platform, JR.
Definitely. So just to let you guys know, so Claude is the most expensive platform per million tokens. I think output is $30 per million tokens. And if you have an agent running 24/7, that bill's going to get super expensive. The DeepSeek model itself, I think if I remember seeing correctly, I think it was $2 per million tokens output. So we're talking about a 15%, not 50%, a 15 times increase over the DeepSeek models. You know, so $2 to $30 is just crazy. So the Chinese are actually doing a really good job, but we're really impressed with DeepSeek on what they're actually doing. So if you're actually looking to do a cost-effective solution, DeepSeek version, I think they're on version 4 right now, is actually just came out. Go check it out. It's a really impressive model.
Lawmakers introduced a new bill this week requiring strict watermarking and local data processing options for enterprise software, pushing the concept of data sovereignty into the mainstream legal spotlight. What a tangled web we weave.
Yeah, more legislation is going to come in. I mean, it's going to just stifle growth while we're actually trying to figure out what's the business model. I do believe, like we actually called here many times, that LLMs and large language models were just going to be an infrastructure just like water and electricity. The things that are built on top is what's going to be worth it. It's like nobody really cares which electricity company, when you turn on the light switch, that you know that electricity comes out of. All these models are just going to become so good that it just doesn't matter which one you use. They're just commodities. But what's built on top of them is where the magic is going to happen. So that's where we're actually looking. So these legislation things are going to impact and slow down growth for those things that come on top of the large language models. So we'll keep watching these stories.
Dude, I'm going to take your mega prompt and create a product for a self-cleaning litter box and see if I can map up the entire business operational structure before dinner. This has been an incredible journey this season 11. This wraps up our Solopreneur Systems series. We went from building an instant storefront to generating a brand voice, and today, condensing the operational setup and marketing into a single CEO command. Join us tomorrow for our Hidden AI App Showcase, where we're going to look at the Master Painter and show you how to unlock image composition. Don't miss that if you like things cool. Junior?
Today we have Elon Musk.
Exactly. So I actually did find the interview, and Shauna did request it, so I'm just going to drop it in. The video itself is about 20 minutes long. So if you guys are bored and you want to watch what's happened 9 years ago, definitely go check it out. And lastly,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Sean. Thanks for asking for that. And guys, thank you guys for always catching us on the live stream. We do appreciate it. And if you guys are on the Zoom call, even double appreciation for it because you guys are actually participating and asking questions real time. If you actually want to keep supporting us, sign up for an account at www.airheadinstitute.ai. Become a pro member. It's only about $40 per month where you can actually get access to us. You get to actually watch all the older shows and also access to AI office hours between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. That is today. And again, thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead after-school program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.